In the first Avengers Doomsday trailer, everyone appears to have united against Dr. Doom. But is Doom really the only enemy? Several characters in the film have yet to be revealed, and some familiar faces we once loved may end up fighting on Doom's side. Meanwhile, the greatest threat has been right in front of us all along. Thor puts Mjolnir in front of Steve Rogers because he wants a clear answer about who he is dealing with. Steve lifts the hammer, and Thor recognizes the friend he knew. He is not Captain Hydra, or a variant borrowing a familiar face. This is the Steve who stayed with Peggy after Endgame, and the hammer still accepts him. The cracks show that this is not the undamaged hammer Steve used in Endgame and returned to its proper time. It is the original Mjolnir that Hela shattered and Jane Foster restored. Thor is using the hammer from his own universe, so its acceptance of Steve also gives the other heroes a reason to trust him. Steve's main advantage in this story is not his shield. It is the trust attached to his name. The Avengers will accept Thor's judgment, while the Fantastic Four will see Steve as a man protecting his family. If he appears to support Doom, teams that have never met Victor will be less likely to treat him as an enemy. The trouble starts when Steve decides to stay behind after returning the Infinity Stones. He builds a life with Peggy, and they have a child, even though that period already has its own Steve buried under the ice. With two Steves now tied to the same branch, the timeline slowly becomes unstable. Loki discovers the damage through the TVA. The branch will be erased, taking Steve, Peggy, and their child with it. Rather than leave them there, Loki moves the family into another reality. Their destination is Earth 828, the home of the Fantastic Four. Loki does not create this universe. He simply uses it to protect the family from the approaching erasure. Steve, Peggy, and their child survive, but saving one branch begins disrupting another universe. None of them belong on Earth 828. The temporal signature they carry damages the balance of that reality and pushes it toward an incursion with another universe. Steve may have saved his family, but the consequence of his decision never disappeared. The problem was only transferred somewhere else. Before Loki goes, he leaves Steve a golden TVA card. We know Steve is holding it because the hand in the footage has a wedding ring. The card is there in case the family ever needs Loki again. Later, Doom realizes that it is the direct connection to Loki he has been looking for. Dr. Doom warns the Fantastic Four that an incursion is approaching Earth 828 and joins their investigation. Reed discovers 3 foreign energy signatures inside the universe. The team follows them and reaches the home where Steve, Peggy, and their child have been living. This is where Doom and Steve meet for the first time. Doom arrives beside the Fantastic Four and presents himself as someone trying to prevent the coming disaster. With his family's new universe in danger, Steve explains everything he knows. Steve tells them exactly what happened. Loki pulled his family out of a dying branch, moved them to Earth 828, and left the TVA card behind. As far as Steve knows, Doom is there to help, so he talks openly. What sounds like background information to Steve is exactly what Doom needs. It connects him to Loki without requiring ordinary travel or magic. Steve has not betrayed anyone. He has simply trusted the wrong person. Doctor Strange can explain how incursions work because he and Clea have already been investigating them. He can tell Doom why the collisions are happening and how little time remains. What he cannot do is take Doom to the end of time. Loki is not living on a normal planet with coordinates anyone can follow. Doom does not need to invent a lie to bring Steve onto his side. He only reveals the part of the truth that serves his plan. The life Steve created with Peggy placed other realities in danger. That instability eventually reached Doom's universe, where Victor lost his family. Once Steve learns this, he cannot separate himself from what happened. Reed Richards is still one of Doom's greatest rivals, but Reed is not at the center of Victor's personal anger. Reed is the man who opposes him. Steve is the man whose decision began the chain of events that took everything from him. Steve never wanted any of this to happen, but the result is all that matters to Doom. Steve has spent his entire life trying to prevent other people from paying for his choices. Doom uses that quality against him. He presents cooperation as the only way to save the multiverse, and Steve believes him. Doom never needs a spell or mind control. Steve's own sense of responsibility is enough to keep him involved. Before Avengers Doomsday comes out, I want us to reach 5,000 subscribers. If you want to support me, I would really appreciate it if you liked the video, subscribed to the channel, and turned on notifications. Enjoy the rest of the video. Steve later tells Thor that another version of Loki is alive. Thor struggles to accept this because he watched Thanos kill his brother. Steve explains that the Loki he knows is holding the timelines together. The TVA card gives them a way to travel to him. They arrive too late. The TVA has already been attacked. Mobius and the remaining survivors are trying to understand what happened, and Loki has been removed from his position. Doom used the information Steve gave him and reached Loki first. With Loki no longer controlling the timelines, the collisions between universes begin accelerating. Only then does Steve understand what he allowed Doom to do. Doom was not searching for Loki because he needed help stopping the incursions. He wanted the power to affect the multiverse at once. Steve thought he was correcting a disaster, but he guided Doom to the one person Victor could never have found alone. Loki is not permanently killed during the attack. Doom does not want every remaining reality to vanish at once. He intends to combine what survives and create Battleworld. If Loki dies immediately, the timelines collapse before Doom can complete that world. Doom removes him from the throne, takes control of his power, and keeps him alive as long as he remains useful. This places Loki in a role similar to Molecule Man's role in the Secret Wars comic. In that story, Molecule Man provides the power that keeps Battleworld together. The film can give Loki that function first and hold Molecule Man for the next part of the story. Steve and Thor believe they have lost Loki, while Doom continues using his power. Doctor Strange, standing beside Doom, completes another part of the plan. The masked sorcerer, carrying a sling ring with an opening over his third eye, is Strange. He encounters Doom while investigating the incursions with Clea and explains why the universes are colliding. Doom's argument to Strange is simple. If every universe is going to collapse, keeping what remains alive in one world sounds better than losing all of it. Strange accepts that logic and takes the same advisory role he has in Secret Wars. At this stage, he only sees a plan that seems likely to keep people alive. He does not yet know what Doom's solution will cost. The Latverian Witch is another magic user Doom gathers around him. Her resemblance to Scarlet Witch is deliberate. Her identity may eventually connect her to Wanda, Clea, or Sylvie. For now, her role shows that Doom is bringing scientific, temporal, and magical power together before the heroes understand what he is building. The circulating script describes Loki as dead, but that can still be a false version of the scene. Marvel has previously used incomplete pages, alternate scenes, and different footage in trailers. Steve and Thor may find Loki looking dead while Doom is secretly using his power to sustain Battleworld. The same secrecy applies to the hidden characters. Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, Deadpool, Wolverine, Doctor Strange, and Scarlet Witch can all be part of the conflict without appearing clearly in advance. Tobey's Spider-Man, Deadpool, and Wolverine are caught in an incursion where one world must be sacrificed to save another. From that point, the Avengers, Fantastic Four, and X-Men focus on protecting their own realities instead of immediately joining against one enemy. The Avengers defend Earth 616, the Fantastic Four fight for Earth 828, and the X-Men refuse to lose their universe. Doom tells each group the same truth in a different way and allows their fear to divide them. The child scene in the first footage becomes essential once Steve's personal loss enters the story. Steve and Peggy name their son James after James Buchanan Barnes. In the past, Steve could risk his own life without hesitation. Now, he is not only a soldier, he is a father with a family he has to protect. When Doom kills James in front of Steve, he is doing more than taking revenge. He believes Steve's choice caused the death of his own family, so he forces Steve to experience that same loss. He also wants Steve to accept that personal sacrifices must be made if the rest of the multiverse is going to survive. This is why Doom tells Steve that one day he will forgive him. Victor believes his actions are justified. In his mind, one child's life cannot be placed above the survival of every remaining reality. Steve rejects that logic because he will not accept the deliberate sacrifice of an innocent person, even when entire universes are in danger. The way Steve returns also matters. Marvel is emphasizing the return of Steve Rogers, not the return of Captain America. Sam Wilson is still Captain America and still carries the shield. The man coming back is a retired soldier, Peggy's husband, and James's father. The longer hair, beard, and dark clothes make Steve look closer to his Infinity War version, when he had stepped away from the Captain America identity. He no longer carries the title, but the other heroes still trust him just as much. Doom knows that reputation will work in his favor here. Steve creates the first instability by choosing to remain in the past. Loki tries to save him and places Earth 828 in danger. Doom follows the temporal damage to Steve. Steve then gives him the information about Loki in the TVA card. Finally, the trust surrounding Steve allows Doom to move among the Avengers and the other teams. The real threat is not an evil Steve variant. It is the access Steve gives Doom while believing he is doing the right thing. Steve is still worthy of Mjolnir and still trying to save people. Doom simply finds a way to use those qualities against him. By the time Steve discovers the truth, Doom has already reached Loki, disabled the TVA, and taken control of the multiverse. The evil intention behind the disaster belongs to Dr. Doom, but every decision that makes his plan possible leads back to Steve Rogers. Do you put the blame entirely on Doom, or do you think Steve also has to answer for the choices that gave him this opportunity? Let me know where you stand in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications.